And the older I get, the more I realize that it's not the number of years that you live that really makes the difference in your satisfaction with your life. Rather, it's the amount of living and the quality of living that you do in the years of your life that make the difference. An appropriate balance seems right. I try to avoid certain things that I think are distinctly physically dangerous. I do my best, but the older I get, the less I care about the number of years that I live, and the more I care about the life that I live during the years that I live. If you remember, I did the show about my friend who died of COVID, and he was late 60s. I forget if he was 68 or 69, something like that. Died of COVID. He lived 69 years. But he managed to pack, in my estimation, maybe 15 years of living into his almost 70 years. That death rocked me hard. Not the death, meaning, as I stated publicly and I did that show, that death affected me because it showed me crystal clear what a tragedy not living is as compared to dying. And it showed me that here's my friend who died of COVID, but he died never having really lived. And I think that it's much more important to think about the way that you live than the way that you die. Or said differently, it's much more important to think about the way that you live than the date that you die. And so that doesn't mean that you have to be prudent, that you have to be imprudent. It doesn't mean that you go into a COVID-filled household just willy-nilly, especially when you don't know anything about your own, risk. I'm not saying that you be foolish. That's where appropriate you want to be thoughtful and be careful. But when you look at the world of the living and the dying, I look at it as a pretty clear example when I think about the United States right now versus Australia. I think about it like the lions behind the bars versus the lions on the savannah. And it's not a perfect analogy. Don't make of it more than what you do. You and I all have to think about how it applies. But the older I get, the more concerned I am with how I'm living versus when I die. And when I do die, I want it to be said at my funeral that I really lived. Not the focus being on the fact that I died. Make of that what you will.